Hey friends, I'm back and excited to share everything I read in February. It was such a good month for reading books. I learned so many new things and I read incredible books, so let's jump in. The first book I read was Habits of the Household. This book is fantastic. It is primarily a parenting book and focuses on leading a house with young kids. But this focuses on 10 core habits in your home. And he argues that these are habits that you already have in your house. This is simply how to take them captive and to really make them intentional with every single day so that you raise resilient children who love God and who are disciples. And I could not rave about this book enough. This is going to be one of the top most formative books that I've read on parenting so far and probably will read in the future. And I'm just going to constantly go back to this. And one of my favorite things about this book, not only is it super well written, and this author definitely has a gift for writing, it is so attainable. Mostly when I read parenting books, I feel overwhelmed because I think, how am I ever going to do what this book is telling me to do? But the some of the things brought up in this book are so easy to implement quickly, and I'm just thankful for its simplicity, but its profoundness. Second book I read was Captivating. It's hard to see the Kindle cover, so you can kind of look here. Unveiling the Mystery of a Woman's Soul. And I've said before that I'm not always a fan of books on biblical womanhood or womanhood in general. Typically, they're placating or they're not challenging enough, and I just usually don't like them. This is, again, not one of those books. I'm so glad I'm finding some good books for women. This is probably my favorite book I've read on womanhood. And it talks about motherhood a little bit, but primarily this is just about being a woman, the heart of a woman. And reading this for me was so pivotal to understanding the deep desires that we have as women, that aren't necessarily bad. Maybe they've led us astray in the past, but they're actually good desires that come from God. And this book helps you really understand what that looks like. And so I would recommend this to any young woman of any age. I'm actually going to read this with a group of friends because I think that it would benefit them. And so totally recommend this book. Third book I read was God Has a Name by John Mark Comer. This is, again, one of my favorite authors because he makes core theology accessible to the average reader. And so I'm not one that understands lots of theological words and jargon, but he just makes it so accessible. And I wanted to show a lot of people love his formatting. So that God Has a Name was reformatted. This is a book that he wrote several years ago, but it was reformatted in his new format. And it's got these page breaks to where it's just so easy to read for anyone. If you're someone that says, I just can't get into reading, it's too many words, this would be a great place to start. And not only is it easy to read, it is content that is so helpful, so profound, so compelling. This book is based off of Exodus 34, 4-7, where the Lord shares his name, that he's compassionate and gracious, loving, slow to anger. And he breaks this verse down line by line. He calls Exodus 34, 4-7 ground zero for a theology of God. And, that's just a compelling statement in itself. After reading this book, I understand why he would say that. I can't believe that I've gone my Christian walk without returning to Exodus 34, 4-7, and just meditating and thinking about it when I think about God. And this helped me so much just relate to God on a more personal level. And I feel like I already have done that, but I just think this would help anyone's walk. If you're someone who says, I am a Christian, I've been walking with God, and yeah, I know him and love him. But if you just want more reasons to love him and see how good he is, I think you would benefit from picking up this book. I think this is also a great book for somebody who's not sure about their faith, or not sure about God in general. Typically, a Christian is going to be the one that picks up this book. And I just think after this book, you're going to want to worship God more. You're going to love him even more than you already love him. Um, and that's the golden part of this book. Then the final book I read, I squeezed it in the last week of February. It was Praying the Bible by Donald Whitney. And this book advocates for exactly what it says. It is such a good short read. So another one for if you're saying, I'm trying to get back into reading, or I'm not a reader, but I want to read books that challenge me and help me grow in my faith. This is going to be a great one for you to pick up because it's so easy to read. And the action step from this book is to then go engage with the Bible in a deeper way. And I think that's my favorite thing about it. You know, I read so many books on Christianity, and you get inspired by these books and you think, okay, I'm going to go read the Bible more. I'm going to do all this. And then you make all these goals and you usually don't meet them. You would not walk away from reading this book with that kind of disappointment. This has practical application. It has you put it to practice before you even finish reading the book. And so I think it will transform your Bible reading right after you read it. I know that it has mine. I've just picked up a new habit from after reading this where I look at the verse in the morning on your version. I pray that verse in the morning, and that's how I start every morning. It's just a simple, quick way, especially for those that have jobs, are busy, and not looking for places to squeeze God in, but more so looking for more meaningful ways to be aware of his presence, which is already around us. And I just think this is a great read, great short read. And if you get it down in your heart, then it's going to transform your prayer life, which we all need. So those are the books I read this month, and they were so transformative. This was a good month for reading books. And, you know, I read 4. Some might think that's all you read. And then some might think, how do you have time to read 4 books? I think what helps me so much is that these books are just so timely for the stage of life that I'm in. That's why I love reading. And so I hope that these books, I hope these book recommendations give you something to read, give you ideas of what you could read. Everyone's busy. No one has time to look through all of these different books and find out if they're worth reading. So hopefully you can take it from me. I've read them. They're so good. I've vetted them. Thank you for watching this. And I want to say I'm so excited and happy about everyone who's told me that they have read the post, took screenshots of books, and found books that they're going to read. And that's why I do this, because there's so many books out there. We're almost inundated with knowledge and books, and there's so much to do. And so we have this overwhelm where we don't know where to start. And that's how I hope to contribute, is to show you these great books that I've read and hopefully give you great recommendations for your reading so that you can walk with God and get to know him in deeper and more meaningful ways in your life. So thanks, guys.